everybody. Welcome to the IronTrap podcast.
What's up, guys?
Doing our weekly podcast. If you guys aren't aware, we're doing podcasts every week.
Yep.
You can subscribe on your normal ways to subscribe. However you do you do it.
Matt has no idea where this is available at. He's like, it just goes out to it's out there.
Yeah. People tell me you listen. That's great. I appreciate it.
It has been kind of cool because our podcast is available on Spotify.
Oh,
when
yeah.
you do a Spotify Wrapped, it tells you like you listen to this podcast the most. So we've been getting tagged on Instagram. People was sharing like they've listened to IronTrap for like 3,000 minutes. It's like, wow, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's cool that people are, A, that they're listening to us enough, B, that they feel that they want to share it on their wrap up on their social, which helps us, and we're trying to repost it as well. So kind of reaffirms that we what we're doing, even though it makes us $0, is people are at least enjoying it. So we're going to continue to do it, and we got a little bit of a rhythm going now. So
Hi, bud.
Full into winter here. It just like flipped the switch. Like I don't know if the video came out yet, but I was just in Florida.
Oh yeah, that came out today.
Okay, so if you guys didn't, you can watch the video today. Kate and I hopped on a plane on Thanksgiving and went to Orlando and did a little bit of fun, little business and pleasure.
Can you technically write that off?
Part of it you can, not all of it, but we can.
You did film at Disney.
True. I guess if we really wanted to, I could. We're a travel vlog now. But
the IRS doesn't watch this.
I mean, it is all legal. We're filming it. We make money on YouTube. I mean, they don't have a right to say that if you're a bad business person, or, that was a bad investment. But anyways, Kate and I did Disney for 2 days. She loves Disney. I do also enjoy getting away a little bit. But the other little spin on it was she agreed to go pick up a 32 body with me that was not far from Disney, surprisingly, and ride in a box truck 15 hours home, more than that with stops. And she was a trooper and did great. So if you haven't watched The Week in the Life of, that was like that's just a good example of how random and ridiculous our lives are.
Yep.
So just got back from that, and literally like the day after we got back, or the couple days
less
after,
than 8 hours from you getting home, it was snowing.
Yeah, it was like welcome home. So that was not fun. And then this week it just instantly got cold for us again. We always get people that listen and watch, and they're like, well, I live in Antarctica, you guys don't know cold.
Yeah.
I know I don't know cold, but for us it's pretty cold. Today is a high of 29.
These are not morning coffees. These are afternoon warm-up. We were just at the mill for like an hour and a half, freezing our butts off.
Yeah, so we were trying to keep productive, so I got a garage door company. I had come look, and we're going to get one of the old garage doors in the mill, in the newest part of the building, replaced, because it's a garage door from like 1960.
Yeah, the springs are broken. It's super heavy to try and open. And all the glass panes are broken out of it. It's just got wood shoved in it at the moment.
Yeah, so we're trying to slowly start sealing the building up, get things more
aesthetically pleasing.
Yes. So we were there and freezing our butts off, so that was not fun. So other than an occasional warm day we might get here or there, we're in winter mode. The wood stoves burning is on high every day, and burning up a bunch of the old wood that we pulled out of the mill, pulled off the side of the building, stuff that was just laying around the mill that was rotten old wood. We're burning all of it. So that's what's going on now.
We are basically caught up from Black Friday, minus the calendars. Really itchy there, Moondog. Calendars are being printed as we speak. Hopefully mid to late next week we will have them, and as soon as we get them, I am going to spend an entire day and ship out all 185 calendars that we ship.
185, not bad.
Yes, it's the most we've ever sold. So
that's cool.
So they will ship as soon as they are in our possession. He's really itchy. We will get them sent out to you. But if you bought any parts or just shirts, No calendars. All that has been sent. So Luke's been kicking butt. He's in a nice little warm office in the.
It's
Ooh,
hot.
that's hot, man.
I told you it was hot.
In the new warehouse. So he's kicking butt this week.
That's all I got. So that's what's going on. Sorry, my dog is distracting every second of the day. Moon, it's too cold to be outside like all day, so Moon was in the house for the first part of the day, and now he's being a
ramrod.
fucking menace, as usual. Here, chew your bone. Get your bone. Yeah, get that bone. That's a good bone.
Surprising, he does like being outside when it's this. He'll go like lay in a pile of leaves for like 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
And then just wander in, warm up, and then go back outside. And
yeah, yesterday it's super annoying trying to get work done in the shop because Moon pretty much, he goes from laying outside, and then I taught him years ago when he was younger to bark when he wants to come inside. So he'll sometimes go up to the house and Kate's inside, and he'll bark at the door and she'll let him in. But he does it at the garage door, like he's like in and out, in and out. Luke's walking in to get his lunch. He follows Luke outside to see what he's eating. And then he's like, I'm cold. And then he barks at the door, and I'm like in the middle of TIG welding. He's barking. I'm like, okay, let me go get the dog. So that's my life.
Can you hold this so I can chew on it?
My life revolves around my dog pretty much most times of the day. But yeah, so now we will get into whatever we're talking about today.
So also, if you enjoy more of the heavy car building content, this winter, like every winter, will be 90% building videos, not so much picking, because we don't do a whole lot of that in the winter because
not as much.
We don't like to travel to colder areas than we're already at, unless we absolutely have to.
Right, and now cue the comments during the summer. We get people that complain that our content is too heavy on going to buy stuff and picking or whatever. And then in the winter, then people complain that they don't want to watch us fix old cars.
Yeah.
So it's if you notice, there's a rhythm with we just pretty much share whatever's going on. So I spent multiple days trying to get a new hood to fit Steve and I.
Yeah.
Spent multiple days trying to get a new, better hood fit the 38 convertible and trying to get gaps and everything to work on the hood, and it's been mind numbing. But that's the stuff we're showing, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. If you don't, just tune in the spring.
Yeah, just put it on in the background and mute it, and just so we get the views. Please don't stop watching. Just put it on in the background. Mm-hmm. So today's topic is we've been kind of doing these like reminiscing on our trips. We've kind of been going in order as they've happened, but we're gonna go back to was it 20? It was 2022. I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to remember. No, it was 2021. It was like right after Hershey, we got a call from one of Matt's friends about a pretty crazy situation that we had to come the next day to buy some stuff.
Yeah, this is one of the ones where I wish some days we struggle with if we were going to bring another person on in the IronTrap, crew.
Yeah.
It would be somebody that would be more focused on filming and content creation for us specifically. They would just hold the camera, just run around all day, do all that stuff. And this is an instance where it would have been great because literally Steve and I were just working in the shop. Old friend of mine called me, my friend Bill, that I've known from the Volkswagen days. He's a tin knocker in the Philadelphia area and union guy. And he called me out of the blue and was like, hey, man, there's this, like, my old boss, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, he bought a foreclosure property that's an old body shop. It's full of all kinds of old parts and stuff that you guys love. And I'm like, oh, cool, yeah, definitely interested. We'll take a look. He's like there looking at the stuff while he's on the phone with me on speakerphone. He's like, oh, man, there's like Auburn hubcaps, and there's like the guy used to do Duesenbergs apparently, and he's telling me the whole thing. And I'm like, oh, cool, yeah, well, let me know. Maybe next week we have a few, some time. He's like, no, you need to come tomorrow. He's like, they have a crew coming in today and tomorrow. And
they're getting dumpsters.
And they're going to have machines, and they're going to crush the cars that are sitting outside, and whatever's here is getting thrown in the dumpsters. They don't care about it. He's going to turn it into their shop for the tin, for his tin knocker, crew.
Yeah.
That's going to be their shop where they're going to keep all their equipment, all their stuff, and blah, blah, blah. And I guess he had all his employees were going to be working to like fix up the property. That like this is a big thing they're doing. So I'm like, okay. He's like, so you need to come tomorrow. I'm like, okay, let me see if I can round up some help and what we got, so I'm like, okay, guys.
Yeah.
I don't remember Steve didn't come.
No, he did. It
Oh,
was
did he?
me, you, Steve, and Pete.
Oh, okay. I didn't remember. I remember Pete, but I didn't remember Steve being there for
Yeah,
some
Steve
reason.
was with us.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so
I'm
we pretty
pretty
much.
sure, unless there was 4 of us, I'm pretty sure it was Steve. I think it was like when Steve started
Yeah,
working for
I
us.
think it is right when he
Because
started.
it was like November-ish when we got the call. It was like like a couple weeks after Hershey.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, basically, Bill called me. He kind of knew. I mean, Bill's in the older American cars too. He's been around it forever, and so he kind of knew some stuff, and he
Yeah.
was like telling us, and I'm like, okay, well, is it gonna be like, do you know how we're gonna price anything? He's like, he's throwing it away. He doesn't even care about car stuff. I think it'll be super, super affordable. Like, so we grabbed the 24-foot trailer. We called Pete.
Who's always down. You could call Pete and be like, hey, we're leaving like now to go on an adventure. Do you want to come with? Pete's always down for that.
Hey, he's like, I'm retired. I don't got anything
Yeah.
else to go. And that's what he's spent his whole life doing. What we're doing, just he did it a lot more. Now the only thing will be like, I got a doctor's appointment
Yeah.
or something. But so Pete was down to go with us to help, just to be there. He ended up being much more involved
It was pretty crazy.
than we expected. So it was in Jersey, right next to like the oil refinery.
Yeah, it's right over the bridge from Philly. I'm trying to remember the town. I don't remember the town name, but it's literally like you could see the Philadelphia skyline from where we were at in New Jersey.
And the refinery was like
Yeah.
almost butted up to
Yeah.
this property. And it was basically it was an old school body shop
Mm-hmm.
that over the years had, at one point in its life, they had done some pretty high-end restoration work for all kinds of cars. Anything from a Jag to a Duesenberg to a Ford to a, Auburn. And I guess, so we kind of got the gist, but I didn't get much background on it. We just
No.
showed up. And then as we're there, we're kind of learning about everything. And we kind of learned through talking to the guy that owned the stuff. Oh, so I just take a step back. We get there and we I don't know if we met the owner or like one of his guys.
No, we
running
met
his
one
crew.
of the. We never met the owner. You talked to the owner on the phone. It was just like the head
yeah.
of the crew.
Yeah, it was like the guy that ran the crew was basically who we were dealing with, and the owner was just like, wasn't even there. And he was kind of like, just
Whatever you guys want.
I don't know, what do you want to do? We're like, well, can we go? And like, as soon as we showed up, because these guys are used to starting early, so
Yeah.
we got there at like, let's say 9. They were there since like 6:30 or 7 or something, already working. There's guys already running machines, picking stuff up, and so as we're standing there talking to the foreman guy, just kind of saying hello and getting our bearings, the guy's like picking up like convertible cows and about to throw them in the metal dumpster. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I stopped the driver, and it's like, there's like what did it end up being?
It was like a 36 Buick. It was a Buick convertible cow. I forget what year.
But it had pieces of the like windshield frame
Yeah.
on it. And I'm like, and it was decent. And I'm like,
Yep.
hold on. And like pulled it off. And I'm like, whoa, like and then he's like, well, these guys are cleanup crew we hired. Don't get in their way too much. They're just, so if you guys see something you want, you better pull it aside now because they already have authorization to scrap
Everything.
So they're going around the outside of the property running over, cows. And we start looking around and like out in the field, out in the woods next to this place, there's like there was a 32 Auburn.
Yep.
There
There was all kinds. There was a Jag.
There was an old Jag, 50s Jag. There was it's escaping me right now. Cords.
Yes.
There was 2 cords sitting
That's right, I
outside
forgot
next
about
to
that.
the Auburn.
Yeah.
This is like in the weeds, and we're like, whoa, like this, instantly we're like, spidey senses go off. We're like, man. So the guy's like, yeah, go in the garage. My friend had told us, Bill had told us that the upstairs was just packed full of parts. And the downstairs was parts, but not as much. So we walk in, and it's just like, it's already like the place had been ransacked.
Yeah.
So we knew it was a foreclosure situation or a tax sale type situation, but we didn't know the background of
I
it.
think it was a tax sale.
Yeah, so we just kind of assumed maybe it was vacant. The house was like a total wreck. We were kind of like, maybe this place had been vacant for a while and thieves had been through and
Yeah.
been scavenging stuff, and that's why it looked like it was like, how it looked. So we went upstairs, and as we're going upstairs, they're sending the crew upstairs on the roof to start ripping the roof off to replace the roof on the garage.
Yes. Which one side they were just doing shingles, and the whole other side they were redecking it. So we're up there, like digging through boxes, and they're on the roof with like hammers and shovels, scraping shingles, ripping the plywood off. I'm pretty sure in a bunch of the clips, you can see the roof just like getting ripped off as we're up there digging.
Guys
through
are
boxes.
falling through it. Like, guys' foot is going through the roof as
Yeah.
I'm like trying to dig stuff, and like they're just like, it's a different. If you've never, lots of people have been to Philly.
Yeah.
You go to Philly, you get your fucking cheesesteak. You're like, oh yeah, I ran up the Rocky Stairs, whatever. Philly union workers, whether they're tin knockers or they're electrician, just that whole union city worker, like blue collar, like those guys are fucking another breed.
Yes.
They're just rough around the edges. There's no bullshit, especially in Philly area. So those guys are like unapologetic. They're just
Yes.
like,
It's also 9 a.m.
yeah.
There were some cases of beer that showed up because they're working on their own property.
They were taking, when we showed up, they were taking for like the apprentice or
Yeah.
whoever was taking the orders for to go to the liquor store or the go get
distributor.
beer, and the beer distributor. Well, they don't have beer distributor. They're just going to probably Wawa
Yeah.
down the street and getting alcohol. But like, anyways, these guys, I'm not saying anything negative. Like, it's just these are
They don't they don't give a shit what we're doing.
yes.
They're
that's-
like, oh, we're here to rip a roof off. These fucking
That's-
weirdos are in here digging out car
yes,
parts.
that's what I'm getting at. Like, these guys they're there to work and get a job done, and when they're on a job site, you get the work done, unapologetic. There's no HR hurt feelings. Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, just so you know, I'm gonna sawzall through this roof. I'm gonna smash a hammer. Like, they're just doing it, and we're kind of like ducking and diving as stuff's falling through the roof, and I'm like, okay, we're on our own here. We're kind of in their way,
Yes.
so we need to be careful because they're not gonna, not that they were rude to us. They were just doing their thing, and we were kind of in the way.
Yeah.
So we were upstairs digging stuff out of the attic, and instantly it's like there's like all kinds of knockoff wheels,
All kinds of everything. I mean, it's
buffalo
just
wire wheels,
buffalo wire wheels. There's books. There's, new replacement parts. There's like luggage racks. There's wheels. There's literally everything you can think of. Is just like none of it's labeled. None of it's identified. And at this point, we had the least amount of knowledge that we have for Auburn and big car, fancy car stuff.
Basically anything outside of the early Ford or hot rod related world. I knew of the stuff, but we weren't like, oh man, that's whatever. So we were trying to just, with very little, just
Knowledge.
using a hunch the whole time. We're like, oh, those look like everything's related to what we know. So I'm like, all the different like knockoff wheels and wire wheels are like, well, those look like the old speedster wheels we would see on some of the early race cars and stuff. I'm like, those got to be good. So we're like grabbing those. But then there was other ones where like, I don't
And there's
know.
wood wheels too. There was a bunch of wood wheels up there.
So we were kind of going through just like picking stuff, and it was like, oh man, this looks good. That looks like something. And then Spidey senses were sent off immediately because when we walked in the downstairs, there was a burned up Duesenberg hood side hanging on the wall. And we're like, ooh, there might be Duesenberg stuff here. And even upstairs, like if you get into Duesenberg stuff and some of that antique car stuff, sometimes the stuff that looks like it's kind of cheesy. For instance, there's like the corrugated pipes that come out the hood sides of like an Auburn or a Duesenberg or fancy big car stuff. Initially, if you see that, you relate it to the weird kit car bullshit. The Cruella de Vil kit cars bit off of a Volkswagen Beetle. And like, so I looked at that stuff. I'm like, that's just like lame. And it's huge exhaust. And we're like, that's lame, stupid stuff. That was one of the things we missed. I didn't take a lot of that because I was like, oh, that's whatever. And then we get home, we're like, Oh, that was like original Duesenberg, like
Yeah.
exhaust pieces that were probably pretty valuable, and I left them behind because I was using my hunch, and it was the wrong way.
And there was stuff that was broken, like intake manifolds or
Yeah,
exhaust manifolds. We're like, they're broken. They're not worth anything. Well, even a broken Duesenberg exhaust manifold is worth a bunch of money.
they don't make it. You would go through it like we're relating it to a flathead Ford, where you're like, well, it's not worth the money to fix that.
Yeah.
Where if it's a Duesenberg and it's original, and those cars are worth, six figures, it's like, well, it's worth to fix this manifold.
And this estate was one of the many stepping stones to us just taking physically everything we can.
Yeah.
Because it was like, as we got back, started researching stuff. It's like, oh shit, do you remember seeing this in the attic?
Yeah.
Look, it's worth $1,000.
No. Yeah, so oh man, there was so much stuff like that.
The biggest thing was that downstairs there was a bunch of Duesenberg engines and transmissions, we believe.
Yeah, there was at least one engine block, and there was one or two transmissions. Now, the problem we had is no one was helping us. So they had machines, but nobody was going to move anything for us. They were like under a bench in the back. I don't even know how we would have moved them ourselves physically. They're so heavy.
And also the trailer was parked on the street, which the garage, there was two garages there. There was like a block, kind of like a pole barn style garage, and then there was like a service station with like lifts and stuff. They were probably 200 to 250 feet from the road, and we were parked on the road. And they were bringing trucks in and out all day, the machines in and out all day. So we couldn't even take the truck and trailer and bring it in to load.
We had to hand truck everything out to the trailer. And it's like, well, I don't even know how we'd get that out there. But we were just so overwhelmed with getting the stuff out of there that we could hand carry.
Yeah.
So upstairs, I'm trying to think upstairs.
We found that really killer Kelly's, that banner right there.
Oh, yeah, the
Kelly Tire banner.
Yeah, so there was like stuff, and this is where we try to recover our tracks. So Mike had been going through a bunch of the paperwork stuff, and he was like, that's one of those instances where I came back around. I was in the back corner of the attic pulling like wire wheels and some of that stuff out. And he's like, I went through all that. It's all paperwork. I'm like, let me take a look anyways. And I started digging a little deeper, and I found that brand new, like, dead stock banner that is, we're looking at it. It's in my upstairs. It's probably 20s, judging by the tire sizes. It's like
they're 30, 29, and 28-inch tires.
Yeah, but it's Kelly Springfield, bright yellow, super vibrant colors. It's like a canvas, I guess, cloth hanging, thing, flag, sign, thing.
The hanging thing.
It's
a banner.
Know. It's a banner, yeah, hanging banner. With the little eyelets that, to rope it to a side of a building. But, like, the fact that survived in all this mess in the attic, and it's, like, not falling apart, it was crazy. So we pulled that out. I'm like, dude.
It was still folded up in, like, a plastic sleeve.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. So that was, one of the only things from that estate that I kept. But it was, so we were trying to cover our tracks all while things are, falling out of the ceiling. But I mainly remember it was a lot of everything was kind of thrown together, and it was like, we really should have been taking every box, but we were just trying to quickly.
And again, it was a body shop, so there was Duesenberg stuff. There was some early Ford, like we found carbs and stuff, but they did everything. So we later found out it was a father owned the body shop, and then the son took over. So it was a 2-generation body shop that they were doing work for. They were really big in the 60s and 70s, so they were open for 40 plus years. So there was a gamut of everything.
So I remember upstairs the other hard part was we it's upstairs in the attic, so we had to truck all this down. So like after a while we're already getting tired.
Yep.
Moving heavy stuff from the back side of the attic all the way over to the stairs, and then one of us carrying it down. I think Bill there that day?
Yeah, he came and helped a little bit.
Yeah, so Bill came some point in the day that day to help us.
Yeah.
I guess he took off work or something, and maybe that's who was there with us. It was just
No, Steve was with us.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so we were just like going through all that stuff and carrying it down the stairs. It just started to get to be tiring.
Yeah.
And we were running out of time. So then we also went into the other shop that was like the more used shop, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's where they did most of the
Paint and
paint.
body
Yeah,
work.
because there was a paint booth in the back
Right.
corner.
And there was like newer stuff floating around. So there was like NOS 60s Ford truck parts.
Yeah, that we didn't get.
Because a guy ran it over with a bobcat to be a dick.
Yeah,
So
we left a pile sitting in the middle of the floor, and he just ran right over it. Bunch of NOS sheet metal. That was great.
Yeah, so the cleanup crew guys were less than friendly also.
Yeah.
And they were just running everything and whatever over. So we got a bunch of stuff out of the attic. I remember the downstairs of the older shop where we were in the attic. I remember the one table. It was like place was kind of like ransacked, sort of. But the one table was just like in the center of the room was filled with all these weird
Carbs.
big carburetors. They were just like crazy looking brass, cast iron. But like, I mean, these carbs were like, they were
Wild.
huge. I mean, they're just all crazy looking. So we were like, no point of reference. I'm like, I don't know what
We
these
messed
are.
up, and we did not take all of them.
Yeah, we took some, and then we quickly learned after this estate that the bigger and weirder the carburetor is, probably the more valuable it is. Because there was some that we left behind were like $1,000 carburetors because they were like, again, fit some weird cord or
Yeah.
Auburn or something, and we were taking ones that we could like identify. We're like, oh, that looks kind of like something we know, and they were good. I mean, we had some that were $500 carburetors, but then the ones we left behind were potentially better.
Yeah.
And I think what clued us in, I think, is we accidentally threw a couple of the weird ones in, and then when Mike or I started going through them, like, whoa, that one weird one's like a $700.
Yeah, I spent that winter. Then I spent a bunch of time going through this stuff, and this estate was one of the first ones where we had to do a lot of identifying because it was 100% outside of our wheelhouse of knowledge. So I've relied a lot of help on social media identifying and just scouring the internet for any sort of information on it.
Yeah, the hard part with some of this stuff is versus muscle cars, early Fords, more popular stuff. You can like do image searches. You can kind of like search part numbers. When you get into the weird Cord, Duesenberg,
The
Auburn,
high-end stuff, there's no information.
there's very little information on the internet. It's still very much old school where people just, there's a few guys that know, and you know, the guy that sells the parts for those cars might not even have an easy to use website that Google can search. So like all of our normal modern ways of finding stuff, you couldn't. You had to kind of just know the stuff. Or we were like searching on old forums that would have a description or an old, you know, whatever.
I did rely heavily on the ACD Facebook group, Auburn Cord Duesenberg. They have a club with a Facebook page, and thankfully a lot of guys helped identify stuff because it was like, I have no clue what any of this is.
Yeah, and we were but yeah, I remember that downstairs there was a lot of that stuff. A
lot of mechanicals, pedals, engine parts, transmission parts.
And some of that stuff that we just couldn't identify, and it's like, well, I didn't want to take a ton of pedal clusters.
Yeah.
Because we just, especially like pedal clusters, they, even on valuable cars, they can be worthless because nobody really like needs them because that's not something that gets lost. Whereas carburetors, different things like that are harder to find
and fix.
Yeah.
Like a pedal, it's just steel. You just weld it.
Yeah, true.
Pot metal carb, you can't really do that with.
Not as easily, no. Yeah. And so we were, I mean, the trailer was...
Did you ever get that glass battery?
I don't know if I think Bill went back and grabbed it for me, and he might still have that. So, Bill, if you're listening, I'd love to have that battery.
Yeah, we did find like an ancient, like...
glass battery, like... It was pretty cool, and I just threw it in because I thought it'd be neat shelf item. And
well, we didn't throw it in. We set
we
it in
left
our
it sit on the floor.
Yeah.
And I like called Bill. I was like, "Oh crap, we left stuff behind." And I also wanted Bill to go scout for us the next day.
Yeah.
So he literally went back the next day at like 9 or 10 a.m. and he was like, "Dude,
everything's gone.
Everything in that building on the first floor." They went in with the Bobcat and just like, literally like just smashed through it all with the Bobcat and dug it all out. And just put it in the dumpster. He's like, the door downstairs. But that battery, luckily, was not run over. And I think he did find it.
I think it was like set. They like picked it up and set it in the dumpster. And it was like right in the front.
Oh, and he found it. I couldn't remember. But he was like, dude, they like All that stuff's already gone. Like, just because we got done, because again, these guys start early and they end, like, they don't work 9 to 5. Like,
Yeah.
they're like 7 to 3 or, whatever. So, like, we kind of had to leave when they were basically finishing up for the
Yeah.
day. So, from the time we left for maybe an hour, and then the next morning for 2 or 3 hours, they had already cleared out the buildings with the machines and gotten all that stuff just, like, scrapped. So,
Yeah.
that was kind of sad. But I remember us loading the stuff all out. It was miserable. Pete, for not getting around good, Pete kicked butt. He was running hand truck with parts
Yeah.
back and forth.
Yeah,
with
we
us.
converted our one hand truck. I don't know if we still have that. Converts to like a wagon. I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think we don't have it anymore. So he was like piling stuff and dragging it. We were carrying all kinds of stuff. I mean,
Wheels and anything
it
you
sucked.
could think of. And the trailer was pretty packed.
pretty
I mean,
full for what we.
The time we had.
The time and the lack of knowledge. I mean, imagine if we would have just took everything. It would have been pretty crazy.
I think labor was our biggest problem.
Yeah.
Pete was helpful, but he's older and he was not not able to get around as much. Steve was just kind of starting out with us. So that was like one of his first picks with us.
Yeah.
And he didn't really know how we operate, so that was hard. And so it was like Mike wasn't as knowledgeable, so he was kind of leaning on me to make the decisions on what to grab.
It was
so,
basically the blind leading the blind.
yeah. So it wasn't. I think if we would have understood that was the only day that we were going to be able to go there and get anything, I probably would have tried to get some more help to come with and brought a second trailer. But I kind of thought, oh, well, we could come back. Let's get our bearings and buy some stuff and then come back. And it ended up not being the case. But trying to remember like some of the.
We got an Auburn dash out of there.
Yeah, so right about before we were going to leave, I was like, went out and looked at the cars more closely out in the woods, and there was a 32 Auburn sedan, and it still had the Auburn dash, and kind of rough, but it had the gauge panel in it, and it was usable. I was like, oh shit, I need to get that. So we luckily had brought some tools.
Yeah, we did bring some stuff.
And I cut the car to get the dash out of it. It was just a rotten 4-door sedan.
Is that the one that ended up in the Roadster pickup?
No. I sold it when I got the one I put in the Roadster pickup.
Okay.
I don't remember. But I got the dash with the gauge panel. Maybe it was. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think it is because we sold. You had another one that had the gauge panel section cut out of it.
Yeah, you might be right. Yeah, that might have been the one. But so I cut that out. There was the cords that were next to it. I'm like, man, there's probably good stuff on these things. There was some kind of Cadillac convertible that was like way out back.
Yeah, there was. I don't remember.
We might have used that in our first calendar, the photo of
one of the cars at this estate ended up in our first calendar.
Yeah, I think it was that Caddy. And those stuff was like way out in the woods. We weren't going to be able to get to it. There was a 50s Jag sitting there that had some valuable stuff on it. Same idea.
And all this stuff, Jersey, sitting outside through the winters, a lot of it was like insanely rough. It's probably been sitting there since the old man ran the restoration shop since the 60s or 70s.
Yeah.
A lot of it was being reclaimed by the earth. Trees growing through them and shit.
So, certainly if there was more time, there was probably valuable parts on them that if you would have had the time to take it to a shop with tools and, you could go through and carefully cut things off.
Yeah.
But we had to just kind of grab and smash the best we could in the time we had. And so these guys were kind of starting to load, and I was like, I'm getting that freaking Auburn dash. So I went out and cut the dash and got it out. And yeah, I remember loading the trailer. It was miserable because it was like we just had to keep making these long trips of.
I also remember it was an unseasonally hot day as well. It was like pretty warm out, and we're humping all this heavy stuff a couple 100 feet to the trailer.
Yeah, the whole time not knowing if any of it's even worth anything. I'm like grumbling the whole time, like, man, we're moving all this heavy stuff, and it's gonna be not worth it. Blah blah blah. And I remember those guys. I think they went for a second run of beer or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, dude,
There was like weed smoking, beer drinking. It was kind of mayhem.
Yeah.
Lunch, they were ordering lunch. And,
It was 100% mayhem.
yeah, so we were like, it was kind of crazy. But, yeah, and then the house, we didn't get to go in the house, but there was stuff in the house too.
We did a little bit, but the roof had fallen in on the house.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, remember, we went in the basement a little bit and poked around, but they wouldn't let us in the first floor.
Yeah.
Because they said everything was falling in on the house for liability reasons. They run a business. It's understandable.
Meanwhile, they're like taking the roof off the building and stuff's,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense because we were just as much in danger everywhere else, but whatever.
Especially that skid steer driver.
Yeah, so I do know that we got the bolt bins that we use downstairs in the
Yes.
shop. I got them out of the body shop area. They had them sitting there, and I'm like, yeah, let's take these. I could use them. And that was one of the estates where I started to think about not necessarily car parts, where like sometimes now when we go to estates, we're looking at all that like kind of stuff, drawers and cubby things and, all the kind of stuff that you don't think about till you need it.
Yeah.
And then you go on Marketplace to try and buy it, and it's either expensive or you can't find it. So I was like, man, we need to get organized with bolts. Let's buy some bolt
The
bins.
best part with this one is they did not care. They were just cleaning up. We just took the bolt bin and literally just knocked it over on the floor because they were like cleaning stuff up anyway. So we just pushed the bolt bin over and like dumped all the shit on the floor and just took the bolt bins out to the truck.
It's great. Made a mess.
Yes.
But yeah, I got a couple things like that there that was pretty cool. And I'm trying to think if we got, when you were going through the stuff, we scored pretty good.
So we could say what we paid for it.
Yeah, so then I called the owner. I think they got the owner on the phone, or I had his number. I called him and said, hey, we're about done for the day. Like, what do you want for all this stuff? He's like, oh, well, how much do you have? I forget the conversation, but he was like, I'm like, I don't know. We got a partial trailer. I don't even know what half this stuff is. Blah, blah, blah. Talking to him about this and that. And he's like, man, that scrap dumpster's $500 for the day. Pay for my scrap dumpster and you can take whatever you want. I'm like, okay, fair enough. So we already pretty much were loaded up at that point, and we took as much as we could take in a day. We were out of energy, and we were running out of time. So I was like, okay, great. He's like, yeah, give my guy the $500 and whatever. We might have met the owner first thing in the morning.
We might have. After I said he wasn't there, I'm pretty sure we met him
first got there, and then I called him.
Yeah,
as we were done.
Yeah, the foreman.
Yeah, and he said, just give the foreman the money and, whatever. So the foreman might have just pocketed the money.
Yeah.
I don't know. But we got a lot of good stuff. And when we started going through that stuff.
Well, should I mention how much we made off of that?
I don't even know.
I do. I just looked it up.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we paid $500, and by the end of it, we made like $22,000.
Hell yeah.
That's so wild.
That's pretty sweet.
That's a very good return on investment. But it was also a gamble. Some of that stuff, I mean, the majority of the stuff that we got could have been absolute worthless, and it was just junk. Imagine how much we would have made if we would have taken everything.
If we would have been given the time to take everything, I don't doubt we would have made $100,000.
There's so much stuff there.
I mean, I think if those were truly Duesenberg transmissions and engine blocks, I mean, that trans might have been $10,000.
Yeah.
So like, that's probably the worst part of it is after we started realizing what all was still there, the sinking feeling of like how much money got scrapped. And what's crazy to think about is we run into this a lot with estates. People just go into they're in such a rush to scrap and trash and clean up that they don't really realize how much. I mean, in this instance, this guy scrapped all that stuff, and I know he was trying to move quickly, but even if he just took a few days to like think about it,
Yeah.
somebody could have given him $20,000 for $100,000 worth of parts and been very happy.
Yeah.
And you would have, made more than $500, but they were in such a hurry.
Yeah.
And we get into states where they're in such a hurry to get a trash dumpster and start throwing everything away, and you're like, where happened to the whatever? And they're like, oh, we threw all them away. You're like, I know they just seemed like old magazines to you, but there was all original brochures or, whatever. And you're like, that was thousands of dollars of stuff, so.
And now that we know better, it's one of those situations we could have been like, how much can we pay you to just give us 2 days
Right.
How much does the cleanup crew cost? We'll cover them not being here for 2 days, and we'll just take everything.
Yeah.
Because that's the guys doing the roof weren't really a problem. It was more the crew that they paid to clean everything up. I
Yes.
mean, we could have drug that Jag out of there and probably made a couple bucks. All this, there was even more cars in the woods that was like, it was a whole thicket behind the body shop that was just.
Oh, yeah.
There was cars stacked that you couldn't even really see or identify.
Yeah, if we would have been able to cover the cost of their labor for a couple of days, it'd been like, instead of them crushing
Not
everything,
his union tin knockers, because that would have been.
Yeah, yeah.
that would have
the,
been expensive.
But the cleanup crew, if we would have been like, what are they charging you per day?
Yeah.
Can we pay for 1 or 2 days of their work, and instead of them wrecking things, we just have them move stuff for us?
Oh yeah.
That would have been way better. It's like the stuff still would have got cleaned up. We just would have had them move all the stuff and stage it by the street, and we could have just came with trailers for the next week
And grabbed
picked
it.
all our stuff up. But we couldn't.
No.
And we didn't know that. I didn't fully know what we were getting ourselves into. So play devil's advocate. He didn't know who we were. He didn't know anything about it. So he was trying to get cleaned up. So it makes sense. He already had it all lined up. They weren't
Yep.
going to stop what they were doing for us.
No.
But
And then we did find out, from putting the video out, some people knew the body shop. It was Franklin Auto Body was the name of the business.
yes.
Some people figured out. I think we found bedside rails. They were like wooden rails that had Franklin Auto Body on it. Showed in the video. Some people contacted us. It was a father, family-run business, passed on to the son. The son had a drug problem.
Or something,
And
yeah.
the business went downhill, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, apparently it was one of those things where the father was and you see this sometimes in multiple generations, not always. The father was the savant.
Yeah.
He was the one that could restore anything, machine anything. We got some crazy stuff out of there that I still use to this day. We got like handmade
Oh my gosh, the amount of
stainless hardware that he must have been making. His father must have been making batches of reproduction. He was copying original hardware for Duesenberg's, Auburn's, whatever, and there was all these weird
I forgot about all those
fine
screws.
thread screws and bolts and all this stuff that was in little
Glass baby food containers.
baby food containers, and some of them had little paper shoved in them, and it was like, Duesenberg 36, 32, whatever, Duesenberg, fender bolts or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever the weird stuff, or engine bolts or car bolts. And I started being like, oh my God, this is crazy. And there was like stuff that he had machined, and then they had it chromed. And there was like brand new chrome hardware that he had made. So it was like,
There was a lot. I forgot of that. That stuff was piled in the shop
yeah,
forever. Before, I mean, we still have
I have tons
glass
of
of
it.
those glass jars.
And I still use some of those bolts because they're like neat. There's enough duplicates of them, and they're like fine thread. It's not that they're like so specialized you couldn't use them somewhere else. So I
Yeah.
keep them around because sometimes they're like neat, fine thread, dome-headed, flathead screws that are like, they're just nice pieces.
Yeah.
So sometimes I use them on the hot rods because it's a nice finishing piece, and I keep them around. There's chrome stuff. I use some of them on them. But like, I actually found in one of the baby food jars, there was like a note that was in it with something that was broken. It was pot metal or whatever. And there was a note, and it said, hey, I forget the guy's name. That was the father. You say you could fix anything, fix this. And it was like a crumbled piece of pot metal.
That's funny.
And it's like, that guy, the father, he was the one, I think, that was in the heyday of their business that was restoring these high-end cars. And then people started telling us about that body shop and that guy, the father, how he was pretty well known.
Yep.
And we found photos of cars he restored
Yep.
in the building somewhere.
Yep. And I think in the upstairs we
Yeah.
found like grips of photos of all the different cars.
Yeah, so we were like started hearing about this, and then I started hearing through the grapevine. The later on, the son had taken over the business and body shop, and he was still running it, but it was more of a normal body shop, and they were
Yeah.
doing Camaros, and they were doing normal stuff. And then I think there was some sort of alcohol or substance
What
issues.
were those fiberglass cars there was a bunch of bodies there? Were they is it Minx? There's Volkswagen fiberglass. No, oh, fuck. What are they?
There was whole bodies.
Yeah, they were fiberglass, but they were usually on a Volkswagen air-cooled chassis.
was Manx dude buggies. But I
Not,
don't know.
it wasn't a dude buggy. It was like a T-top style fiberglass car. Remember, there was one whole body, and then there was one that was like broken in half. I think Bill got the one body.
I do remember those. I forget what they're called. Yeah,
Shit, I can't
I don't
remember.
remember them being there, but I don't know. But yeah, there was other stuff. So we started learning through the grapevine that there was more stuff there. So we started through the grapevine learning that there was a lot more good stuff that was there.
Yes.
Like there possibly was an Auburn Speedster or an Auburn that was still there into recent history. And maybe a Duesenberg parts or car or something to build a Speedster. I don't really know, but there was whispers. And then we started finding out that the son was still alive. And we're like, oh, that's weird. And lo and behold, after I don't know how long the video was out, I got a voicemail from no, I got a call from a guy. This is funny because Pete, we always joke, Pete knows everybody.
Yeah.
So Pete knows a Philly cop that knew the son.
Yep.
And the Philly cop is a car guy, saw our video and called Pete and said, hey, I saw you in the video and you know these guys. I know that guy. And he starts telling us more about it and says, hey, there was more stuff. I don't know what happened to all of it, but it wasn't in the videos. And then somehow I got in contact with the son who owned the property. So I get a phone call from him and he's asking, hey, can you just give me a call? Seems pretty friendly. I get a call and he's like, the conversation didn't start off nicely.
No.
It was like, you motherfucker, how'd you,
You stole all my stuff.
how'd you get all my stuff? They weren't able to sell, they weren't legally able to sell you that stuff. I was supposed to be able to go in and get the rest of that stuff and you stole it and that stuff's mine and I'm going to court and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, you have that oh shit moment and we got involved in some sort of, what they were telling us and what actually was, I don't know. So he starts going on and on. He's, and this was a pretty long phone conversation I had. And he's telling me about all this stuff. And so I think what led me to that was the Philly cop had told me that he had storage units somewhere in
Yep.
Philly with stuff that was from there, that he had pulled out of there. So I'm talking to the guy and he starts confirming like, yeah, I got like, I don't know, Auburn, stuff and Duesenberg stuff.
I
Enough
remember he
to
was talking
put
about Duesenberg hood ornaments.
Yeah, he had stuff to like, put cars together and this and that and blah, blah, blah and all this stuff. So I was trying to like, I don't know, be cordial to maybe see if we could buy some of the stuff. But he was just kind of telling me about all the stuff. But he keeps going on and on where they weren't supposed to be able to do that and this and that and, whatever. And I think that's when I called Bill or maybe I texted the owner
Yeah.
and was like, yo, like, what's the deal? And they're like, no, this was a tax sale. Dude hadn't paid his taxes in like
Decades.
like a very, very long time. All legit. He bought it at a tax sale or foreclosure type deal, tax sale. And all legit. I own everything on the property. It's like, okay. But
Yeah, when your property goes up for a foreclosure or tax sale, it's not property minus the contents. You buy literally, you own all of it legally.
yeah, and I think what this dude was talking about is they probably gave him,
Leeway to get stuff out.
I don't know if the new owner did, whoever the borough or
Yeah.
the tax collector people, whoever, were probably like, you've got 30 days to take care of your delinquent taxes, or it goes to, they change the locks and chain the place up. So that's probably what he was talking about. He's probably trying to plead for more time. So what we kind of, through all the phone calls and, whisper down the alley type stuff, he knew what was going to happen. There was no toolboxes. All the really good stuff was gone.
Yeah.
Remember, there was like no tools or, toolboxes in there. And we thought that was kind of odd.
And the shop, the actual shop where you tell people were working out of was like ransacked.
Yes.
You could see there was like cabinets open and shit ripped out of the cabinets, and you could tell somebody was in there. Either like crackheads got in and stole everything, or somebody was in there trying to get everything out as quickly as possible.
Yeah, so I think the dude who owned the stuff, I think he knew what was going to happen. he at some point or over a period of time was getting the stuff out, and that's why there were storage units in the city somewhere that were full of this stuff. So he must have gotten the really good Duesenberg stuff out, the really good Auburn stuff out, and that stuff was all in another location. Must have got the toolboxes out and got all the equipment, welders, because all that stuff wasn't there. And obviously this was a running shop. You could actually Google them and see that they were I think they were open most recently enough that there was Google reviews.
Yeah.
And it was on the internet. So we kind of, at that point, I'm like, okay, we didn't do anything, but that's always a weird moment when you're like, oh, did the guy, that sold us the stuff actually, was he able to?
Yeah.
But we realized pretty quickly that the guy was not.
And the guy we were dealing with runs a very large duct installation company. So it's like, who do you trust more? The guy that lost his property at a tax sale, or the guy that runs a legitimate large business?
Yeah. So kind of a shame, because he was telling me about all the great stuff he had, and I guess he's still alive. I don't know. This was years ago, but I guess he is. I don't know how old he was, but that guy. So that just shows you how much stuff is still out there in the world, because now we know about some guy that has storage units in the city somewhere that has Duesenberg, Auburn, old car stuff, all kinds of stuff that's stashed in some garages, and someday that stuff is gonna
come to light.
There's gonna be a buzz on the internet about a guy that bought a storage unit at a storage unit auction, opened it up, and there was Duesenberg parts in it. That's how this stuff all happens.
Yeah.
So he must have skimmed a bunch of it out of it, but it's crazy with our YouTube channel how after we put a video out, there's all this kind of stuff, we get phone calls, emails, contact about people, good and bad.
Yeah,
that
almost
happens.
every estate we do that. Someone knew of the person that we bought it from. We get more information.
Or we've had stuff where there's been negative things said that we hear through the grapevine about us, and we're like, that's not how that went down, or that there was recently the West Virginia stuff.
Oh yeah.
One of our good friends was chatting with a guy through Facebook Marketplace or something, and the guy didn't know that our friend knew us as well as he did. It's one of my really good friends. And he's just chatting with the guy, and the guy's like, oh, yeah, my buddy bought a property that was supposed to be full of GM NOS body panels, and these fucking IronTrap guys came in and stole all the stuff out of there, and they weren't supposed to take all the stuff, and they screwed him up. And they, the way the guy was saying it was like, we went in the middle of the night, stole all this stuff. You've seen the video. We went multiple times. There's no middle of the night. I don't want to be there in the middle of the night.
No,
we were there when it was getting dark. It's scary.
It's not pleasant.
It wasn't, but this guy was presenting it to my friend in a way that we were pulling some shit.
Yeah.
And luckily, it's one of my good friends. He was like, yo, I know these guys. They're pretty stand up. They would not. What are you talking about? That seemed on the up and up. And then the guy goes, well, actually, the daughter who sold him the property or was selling him the property had maybe not clarified that she was selling the car parts, or he went to look at the stuff. And I'm wondering if actually maybe he went there
before us.
Or no, I think what happened is he went after our first trip and saw all the, there was still a lot of stuff left. They were making a deal on the property on the side. We made our arrangements to come back the second time, pulled all the stuff out, and then he went to go back after buying it or coming back again to look at the property, and a lot more stuff was gone. And then they hear about the video and all the stuff, and then we're the bad guys because we stole the stuff out. It's like, we didn't know she told us she was keeping the property.
They were going to make an Airbnb out of it.
Yes, that's what she was telling us, and it was going to be a rental and all this stuff, and it's whatever, great, but we didn't know any of that. We made a deal with the owner. A lot of times this happens with a lot of states. We don't know the shadiness or stuff that's going around in the background with families, property owners, all that kind of stuff. We've had, I can't count how many estates that we've done. We find out afterwards or during the middle of the process that there's some sort of left field family member or side deal going on, or I mean, how many times we had a state and then some random, I mean, when we were in Long Island,
Oh, yeah.
it was like random dude shows up that bought the race car and he's picking through our stuff. And it's like, well, actually, we told him that the race car stuff's his, and I'm standing there and the dude's trying to take wide fives. I'm like, you didn't buy a vintage, dirt car. You bought like a 70s or 90s dirt car. Well, we want to use those wide fives to roll the car. Sorry, sir. We bought all the antique car parts. That's not for your car. But like, there's weirdness going on. It's like, well, we didn't know any of that was happening. We show up and then we have to deal with these situations either during the estate or after the fact.
Yeah.
You're like having these oh shit moments where it's like, did we do something wrong? Like, everything's supposed to be on the up and up, but you never know. I mean,
there'll be a video coming out soon.
Oh yeah,
that Matt took a trip a couple years ago, and there was some potential legal problems, so we pulled the video.
If you've watched, the video went up for like a half a day.
Yeah,
and so a lot of people watched the video, and then we had to take it down because of
not that many. It only had. I have to look. It's still up there. When we release it, I'm gonna re-upload it so it's a fresh upload. But I think there's like only 3,000 or 4,000 views on it. It wasn't.
But still, that's a fair amount of people that saw it, and then in fact, I think
there was people that went to watch it, and then from me taking it down, it disappeared. They're like, "What happened to that video?"
Yeah, or they were like in the middle of the video, and then it like failed on them, and they tried to rewatch it. It was like, whoa, what the heck? So that was it. That particular one is the same kind of instance. I went there. Literally, I'm dealing with the widow who lives in the house, and I'm buying the car parts from her. And then I get a phone call after the video comes out, a week later, and says, hey, I know I said it was okay to film and take photos. Actually, don't post anything on the internet. I got a weird situation with, this is the second wife who's selling me the stuff, with the stepdaughter and blah, blah, blah. And then I come to find out, there's a reason she wouldn't sell me any cars because it was trackable.
Yep.
And she was selling stuff out of the estate on the side that the daughter was probably supposed to get a portion of. And she sold all the tools, all the stuff that was not trackable through the estate she was selling, but she wouldn't sell me any of the cars because that was documented and the daughter had to be involved. So we took it down. We didn't want to get involved in any legal battle stuff. I mean, in the end of the day, we paid for the stuff fair and square. I mean, that's always the great part of what we do. We put it up on video. If you want proof that we bought the stuff, you see like a lot of these states, the executor is in the background.
Yep.
If we stole this stuff, back to that West Virginia thing, if we stole this stuff, why was the executor's husband in the background? Why is the executor of the estate in the background helping us carry things? That's kind of the proof. It's kind of the beautiful part of what we do with documenting in video. Like, we didn't magically AI put this fucking lady in the video. Like,
I'm pretty good at editing, but I'm not that good. I will say
she's
that.
there.
Yeah.
there's no green screen. We didn't take her fucking Facebook profile and recreate an AI person. Like, low budget here, folks.
Yeah, very low budget.
So it's all real.
We'll have to do a podcast. I'll have to put the video out.
Yeah, that's a good one. That podcast.
That video is good too. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
We'll have to figure out when we could put that out.
I think anytime is good because it's been years.
I'm trying to think. I think it was 2023. Yeah, so it's been almost 3 years now.
Yeah, I don't think there's any. The cars might still be there and she's still dealing with it, but like at this point, I didn't want an immediate issue.
Yeah.
I mean, but again, we have proof of us getting the stuff and she's there and we're in the backyard.
Yeah.
I mean, we're backing a box truck into her backyard. It's pretty obvious we paid for this stuff.
We'll have to see. I'll have to see when Christmas and New Year's fall this year. Maybe we'll do one on
that'd be cool.
Just a random upload day just to put one up. Just for people to enjoy.
But it's pretty neat. It's cool to share this stuff, but it's also great for us because, for business tax purposes, it's like, we bought all this stuff. You want proof? Here's a video. Here's an hour video of us taking every single thing out of there.
Oh, if you need more video, I got 9 more hours on my hard drive for proof.
You want proof that we bought a huge load of parts and paid a whole bunch of money for it. Here's a video,
Yeah.
And then in that same breath, it was like, if somebody ever came back to us and was like, hey, you weren't supposed to buy that stuff, it's like, well, here's the text messages, emails.
Yeah.
Here's the video with the person standing there watching us taking it. How are we not authorized?
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah, your gripe is with the person that sold it to us, not us.
Yeah, I didn't. We didn't. And all of these estates, 99.99999%, they reached out to us. We didn't. I didn't. This one was in Florida.
Yeah.
How did I find this random lady in? I think it was Boca Raton or something. You're like, how the fuck did I find?
Yeah.
They reached out to us. I didn't just magically. It wasn't my next door neighbor that would fucking take a shit in the middle of the night. We didn't magically find a hidden property in West Virginia that was hidden with
You
bamboo.
couldn't find that place in West Virginia if I gave you the address.
There wasn't an address.
Oh, that's right.
They had to give us an address for a house down the street.
That's right.
Because there wasn't even an address.
I forgot about that.
For the most part, this one in Jersey was like our start into going outside of our lane, so to speak.
Yeah.
And we started realizing that we need to educate ourselves better on other stuff. Because what we started to, as we've grown the business and we've gotten larger, we're getting contacted by people to buy things other than early Ford. Or what we're getting into is early Ford was one piece of that person's collection.
Yes.
So we're getting into stuff where, yeah, the guy had a 32 Roadster because that's like the pinnacle for early Fords. But he also did Packards. At one point in his life, he had an Auburn Speedster. And it's like, we go into these estates and there's a little bit of that stuff sprinkled around. And we started realizing, like, we really need to be at least somewhat educated on some of that stuff so that when we do, if we get in that situation, we won't let that happen again.
Well, it ties into the West Virginia estate.
Yes.
Because the West Virginia estate, the guy was into Model A's and early Fords.
Yep.
And that was actually the smallest part of his collection, and the NOS body panels.
Yep.
So all these estates over the last, our first year or 2 years as a quote unquote parts business kind of helped shape where we're at now.
Yep.
Because it was like each one we learned a little bit more of, like, we've been leaving a lot of things behind that's, pretty decent money. And now it's to the point where it's just like, it's not bolted down and it's part of the deal. Because unless we don't have the room, we put everything in the truck.
Well, and when we're negotiating or talking to an estate or a collector about what they're looking to sell, previously it would be like, no, we don't mess with that stuff. Now I'm kind of like, well, for the right, like we were. Oh, the video came out today. We were when Kate and I were at the estate buying that 32.3 window. There was a Porsche Boxster there, like modern car, up on jack stands. Some sort of issue with it. The daughter didn't know, but they were selling the property. 2 weeks, she was closing on the house and everything had to go out. And there was this Porsche there, and she's like, I don't even know how to get it off the jack stands. I don't know what we're gonna do. And I'm like, well, what do you want for it? Like, instantly, I'm like in Florida, and it's like, I don't need it, but if it was a good deal and I could come back for it, great. It ended up working out because the guy Chuck that we connected with, got me connected with her. He was interested. I immediately backed off because I realized that he was interested in that stuff. But that was a good example. Like previously, I'd be like, no, we don't really mess with new car stuff, or I don't mess with XYZ. And it's like now it's like, well, if the price is right, we'll consider it, and we're trying to think of ways that we can effectively sell that kind of stuff, but not get hurt. I'm not going out actively looking to buy Packard parts collections, but if we're already there, or if it's a price that we know that we can buy it and not get hurt, we'll buy the stuff. But that's where I think there's a slippery slope that, as a business owner, we could just start saying yeah to any deal, and then we're spread so thin with all different stuff. So we try and
then we have buildings filled with just stuff.
And that's some of the estates we run into where the guy didn't have a thing he focused on.
Yeah.
And it's everything, and that could be us. And I don't want to get into that. But if we get it into part of an estate, or we can, it's a good enough deal. That's where the GM stuff was a good example. Mike and I made the agreement. We're like, 1 year, We're going to sell as much as we can, and then we're going to blow it out, even if it's a giveaway price, because we don't want to be in the GM,
NOS
50s to 90s NOS parts business. We
Yeah.
just want to sell what we could sell to make our money, make a profit, and then if there's money left on the table, it's fine. We just need to move it on. So that we did that with a lot of these random estates, and this Jersey one really is what helped us with the Mark Smith auction, because we were much more educated on that fancy car
Yep.
stuff, and we were able to buy some good stuff for good deals because we were educated. And that was a great example. That guy owned any type of antique car, and there was early Ford stuff mixed with Packard, Duesenberg, Cadillac, V16 Caddy stuff, whatever. And we at least knew enough about it because of Jersey and some of the other ones that we were like, oh yeah, those are those. Like Mike now knows, he's like the tooth count, the dental
Oh yeah.
drive versus the whatever.
The
I'm like,
Buffalo, yeah, the Buffalo is more of like a gear, or dental is more of a gear, and Buffalo is a tapered hub. There's all different kinds of wire wheel hub mount. It's pretty crazy.
but Mike's like, at least I can't even retain all of it because I'm not there as intimately
Yeah.
with selling the parts. But Mike's more like, I'm asking Mike when we're out, I'm like, yo, are these the whatever? He's like, oh no, those aren't the.
And on top of the teeth style, there's sizes.
Yep.
So there's different sizes. The big car had bigger hubs. The race cars use small. It's fucking. It's,
And at the Jersey, at this body shop estate, we left behind some hubs.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really know, and we were just grabbing the wheels. It's like, shit, there was like V16 Caddy, center lock, dental drive, fucking
Because
hubs.
the hub and the drum are two separate. They unbolt. So like
Yep.
we saw this giant drum, brake drum. We're like, oh, that's gonna be so heavy. That's not worth anything. But the fucking hub that bolts to that big ass drum is worth like a couple $100 each. And there was piles of them. That
And
were
when
left
we
behind.
would have had there was probably complete setups of the hubs, the
Yeah.
drums, the wheels, everything. And that's like super valuable because when you have the whole package, you could sell it to someone. So we've learned about that and approach things differently. We're also now, it's like that, like you're prepared, almost like I don't know, I guess it's like a fire drill type situation, or in the military, or in fire and rescue. You prepare for that emergency situation.
Yeah.
Or what if this happens? What would you do? Like now we're kind of more prepared or equipped that if we get a call that is you need to come today, tomorrow, you have one day to get the stuff out. It's going to be so cheap you won't lose. We're more equipped now and we're more educated that like we know that we should have brought 2 trucks, 2 trailers, and the worst thing that would have happened is, and more helpers, the worst thing that would have happened is we bought some friends lunch for the day and we wasted some fuel to go to Jersey.
Yeah.
And we had a half-empty trailer. But the upside is, in that situation, we would have had more friends, more help, and more stuff.
Yeah.
And instead of making 20, we might have made 80 grand because we would have been able to get everything
Oh, $500.
off $500 worth of shit. So you can hate us now, but this
Yeah.
stuff happens. I mean, it happens. But
That's the only time we've ever bought anything for that cheap, though.
that quantity of stuff
Yeah.
for that cheap, that was
Quantity
insane.
and, at the end of the day, quality
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, quality is a relative term because a lot of it was pretty rough, but in the Duesenberg world, quality is just, it exists.
Yeah, yeah. So we did very well on that, but now we're more equipped that like if we get emergency where it's like you need to come and buy this, that was why I went and got that 32 3-window body urgently, because the house was getting sold, and if I didn't go and get it, it was either going to get scrapped or put on marketplace for $500 because
Yep.
I was the only one interested. I paid way more than $500. Don't think I paid $500, but I was kind of like the last
Resort.
resort, and they didn't have any interest or whatever. So these situations, we hear the negative whispers and rumors and people saying we're ripping off families and doing like a lot of these situations. They don't give a shit. They're getting $1 million property that they're selling, and what we're taking care of is an annoyance to them because they want to make the family wants to make $1 million, and if we don't, they don't want to deal with 800 of you assholes on Facebook coming and buying the one thing off their garage floor. They're about to be millionaires for selling dad's investment property, and they don't give a shit if they're leaving 20 grand on the tables for
I'm literally leaving next week to go to a place that's
Yeah.
the same.
in Connecticut.
Yeah, it's a
They don't-
multi-million-dollar property, and it's filled with. Now, luckily for them, their dad had really nice cars, so there's
Yeah.
nice
Selling
stuff for them to sell. But the parts are just like
It's there.
it's.
you know.
We please come get rid of it.
We have another one. We're dealing with a guy right now that's like, he's about to sell a property that he has had for years, worth a ton of money, and he doesn't need the money. We're negotiating back and forth on parts and cars and different stuff. And it's like, he doesn't want to give it away, but he also is fine with selling it to one guy because he doesn't want to deal with 18 people. He wants to deal with one person. He's fine with, we're a business. So all these situations, we don't come in there telling anyone that we're going to keep the stuff forever and, I'm going to pass it down to my grand dog, whatever.
It's my favorite thing to hear at swap meets.
These guys,
Really,
there's so many resellers that will talk shit on us and are fucking bold-faced liars that I've seen them doing it. I've heard them do it.
yeah.
I've heard them buying cars. We've been at estates where those resellers show up while we're there buying something else. And they're like, or they were already there and bought something. And they're like, oh, that guy told me that he always wanted a 32.3 when they're like, I know the DeLorean
Yeah.
Roadster estate. They're like, oh, he told me he was going to keep that car forever. And we're like, I know 3 owners that have owned that car since then. What? Are you kidding? No, that dude lied to you. He sold that car a year after he bought it or 6 months.
Yeah.
And he paid you this. And I know what it made. And it was way more. So I know he told you that. But he no different than us. They're giving you this cloud of
Runaround.
runaround where we're just like, hey, we're in here. We run a business. I need to buy it. I need to pay this. And that's what it is. And, there is estates where we go in. And I'm honest with the estate, and I say, look, I'm gonna buy all this stuff, and I'm gonna keep this car for me, and fix it up, and then we're gonna sell all this stuff, and that's the price. We make a little bit of money, and I'm very careful. I only say that to when I actually am going to do that.
Yeah.
That's, and even then you're like, I want to mess with this car. It's not like I'm gonna keep this car for the rest of my life.
Yeah, a lot of times we say, we're gonna tinker on it, get it back on the road, and then probably find a new home for it.
Eventually.
Eventually. We don't put time constraints on it because sometimes people contact us right away and want to buy the car. Sometimes we keep it and drive it for a little bit.
Some of the ones that I know I want to keep for a long time.
Yeah, the sedan delivery. I remember the conversation.
Yeah,
that
that was.
I'm gonna keep it.
Yeah, that was the conversation with that. It's like, look, I want to put this on the road. I want to, this is a car that I'd love to have, and I think that was a big part of us being able to get it. It was like, I'm not just gonna flip this next week. I could have flipped it on the drive home and made money, but it's like, no, that's not what this is about all the time.
Yeah.
And, it's for us, it's just making money to pay the bills, but it's for me, it's access to the cars and parts that I want for myself is what I want. So we're spending a lot of money to get one thing or one car out of it that I get to put on the shelf or, use on a car or drive. But
that's how you end up with a collection is you buy in bulk and you keep the few things you need for yourself.
And here we are, multiple buildings,
lots of stuff,
hoarding lots of stuff. And some kid's going to come in here and buy my shit for pennies on the dollar for Moon's great-grandson.
We'll all be dead, so.
Yeah, we'll all be dead. But at least we're saving this stuff for the next guy.
Yes.
So that's all I have for this one. Good adventure. Moon's done
He's
his
got
nap.
Impeccable timing.
He does. I think he hears our talking and
our tone change, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Well, they're wrapping up. Time to get up from my nap.
Yep, that's all we have for this one. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and drop us a comment down below if you have a topic that you'd like to hear us talk about, or maybe there's a video or a adventure that you'd like to hear the background on. We'd be happy to talk about. We're pretty forthcoming, so we'd probably pretty much any video we'd tell you what happened or the story behind it, and that's what we have going on. So thank you guys for following along. We appreciate it. Catch you later. See ya.